Good evening and salutations, my Days of a Lost fans. So, Paulina is driving herself up a wall. She is online, she is looking at these troll accounts, um, being all nasty towards her as far as trying to bother her and, um, talking about how she's going to not be mayor anymore, right? They find out who is leading the charge to this group of citizens that is calling for a recount. So Abe, he talks to EJ. He tries to appeal to his better nature for some odd reason, which I'm just like, I haven't watched this show as long as other people have, but I'm like, come on, bro. You really thought that you was going to have some sort of a heart to heart, some sort of reasonable um conversation with him. You can tell obviously he's pissed off and he's doing this because he got fired, right? So he's like, all right, let me try to appeal to you from a family angle. Lexi. What would Lexi sit there and say if she was here right now? You know? But in the end he was like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but this is not a spite, this is just I'm just a concerned citizen and yada yada yada. So, at that point, Abe is just like, he says something. He's like, well, I try to appeal to your better nature or something like that. And then he walks off. And the way he does it, it's like he's disappointed in EJ. You can tell just on some level, it bothered him a little bit. Abe, here's the thing. Abe just has this presence where, like, if he just comes across as a dad, right? And it's like a dad could be mad at you, or a parent could be mad at you. But what's worse than being mad is someone being disappointed in you. That hurts way worse. And I can tell on some level he kind of felt it. I mean, he felt enough to be like, yeah, I'm just going to sit there and stop what I'm doing, but he felt it on some level. Now, Kristen is sitting there telling Stefan that, hey, listen, I apparently, um, she was like, I'm not gonna be able to help you anymore. That's done. And he's like, why? Apparently, she was able to get this board meeting going or whatever, and got a lot of votes or whatever. Um, and they just made her, CEO. Yeah, just out of nowhere, just decided to make her CEO. So with that being said, Stefan's like, oh, okay, so now that you got what you wanted, you can't help me out. But it's not as simple as that, because Shen is on the board, and she doesn't want to sit there and get on his bad side by helping prove it evidence that Gabby didn't do it, since the dad thinks he did. So she's like, I can't really do anything. I can't help you. So he gets upset, he gets really angry, and Kristen's like, okay, I'll do you a solid. I got some money, I got some contacts, because he's like, fine, I'm just going to sit there and break her out. I'm just going to go back to my original plan, just breaking her out. And she's like, if you want to do that, take some money, take some contacts, it'll help you get out of Salem. And, it meant a lot to him, because he's like, I got to do something. I can't just sit there and just leave her in jail. Rafe is not going to help me. There's really nothing that he can do at this point. And I'm pretty sure, he practically has maybe about little funds, if anything, unless it's coming from the restaurant, because EJ has the majority of his money. So it meant a lot to him. And then towards the end, when he is going through the safe and everything like that, and getting the cash and getting the envelope, there's an envelope in it, and it's the DNA test of Jude. And he's like, oh, EJ, you are not, well, You know what I'm trying to say. Um, and Kristen knew that whole time. And I don't remember her actually saying anything or how she even actually got the evidence. I don't understand how she actually even got the DNA test. I mean, the DNA results. That's not really making a lot of sense to me. But EJ is just sitting down, and Kristen comes in, and Kristen's like, she tells him that, I'm CEO now, so, you might want to start looking for a new job pretty much. And it's funny too, because towards the end, Paulina, when Abe came back and he was like, yeah, I tried to talk to EJ, but there's no luck. Paulina was like, you know what? Karma's gonna get him. And listen, as much as a fan I am of EJ, I've been looking forward towards this downfall for a hot minute. I mean, they gave him DA and CEO. Now he lost the DA job. He lost the CEO job. And eventually he's going to lose Nicole. And that's going to be amazing. That's going to be amazing. Um, Now, Johnny and Chanel, they're breaking the news to their respective families. And what I liked about this conversation with Chanel and Paulina, Paulina was like, I know that you still are upset with me because of the whole snowstorm incident. And she realized, she's like, listen, things could have been fine and somebody, Johnny could have found me. Or I could have been dead and the baby could have been dead as well. And she realized that that was a possibility as well. On top of the fact that, she didn't do it out of malice. I mean, granted, she didn't do it out of malice before, but that was the one of the things she realized. She was like, we may not even be having this conversation. And so she does forgive her. Um, Paulina's sad that she's leaving, but, she's happy that they made up. Because let's be honest, even if they were staying, um, they would have eventually made up anyway. I'm just glad that we got to it at this point because she had a right to her anger. She did. Even though I felt like it came across as a bit ungrateful, she had a right to her anger. And I also understand that when you're angry sometimes it's not always logical, right? Like yeah, she probably knows on some level that she might have been ungrateful, but when you're mad you don't see stuff like that. You see sort of red, You're just kind of in your emotions. So, and Johnny thanked Marlena for the advice, which, to be honest, any person on the streets could have told you the same thing. And yeah, so they had their little happy ending. Um, Johnny said bye to Kate, not to call her Katie, Kate and Rome off screen because they got a budget. And Chad is not there telling Julie about the safety deposit box that's in Chicago. And he's like, I'm going there. And she's like, I'm going with you. And to be honest, I'm kind of just surprised that Chad is just letting her go with him. Like, he just said that it's dangerous. She's like, well, this is not exactly my first rodeo. It's like, yeah, and that would have been cool if this was like maybe 30 something, 40 years ago. Well, I think you're in like 80s or 90 years old. Like, this shouldn't be a thing. This should not be a thing right now. But for some odd reason, he seemed like, oh, okay, all right. You got into lots of mischief like 40 or 50 years ago. I guess you're fine. But while they're talking about Abigail being alive, Thomas wakes up and he overhears that, so they had to sit there and kind of like clean it up or whatever. And towards the end, he's really excited, and he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do if I get down there and Claude is just there playing games. I don't know what is he supposed to be doing by going to. Well, I guess that's proof or whatever. But once he does go there, he does find some sort of proof. What's next? Is he just going to try to get Chad to break him out of jail again? Like, what's going to wind up happening at this point? Here's the thing. I'm happy that Kristen is the CEO, because I think she'll do well. But also, if it gets EJ out of that job and gets his karma or his comeuppance, I'm cool with that too. I think it's just the way that they wound up doing it. Everything was just kind of just off screen, and it happened so fast. And on top of that, it was like Kristen needed Stefan's votes, and his support to sit there and really kind of get that job, and just out of nowhere, nope, I don't need anything. I'm good. Yeah, no, everything just worked out. Yeah, no, apparently happened off screen. Like something about that just seemed kind of rushed, but I'm like, okay, fine, I guess. When I think about it, it's like, do you really want to sit there and see this whole boardroom stuff, this whole business boardroom voting and stuff? I don't know. I guess at this point, I'll just sit there and just take it. I'll just take it. Anyway, let me just double check. Anyway, I feel like that's about it. Good cliffhanger. Episode is so. Um, they're gonna throw Johnny and Chanel a party before they leave. Um, so then after that, they're done. And to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna exactly miss them. They were never characters like Johnny seemed like he had promise when he first started, and then it just, eh. And then when Chanel first came in, she was just terrible. Um, and then when the actress took over, she was a lot better. But I don't know. I'm just wondering. It's like I'm cool with them leaving because, to be honest, I never really cared that much for them anyway. But then I'm just like, they could have just gave them better stuff. They could have gave them better stories. Um, like right now, they have this whole baby thing, and I don't understand. And part of me is just like, is there a reason why they're just leaving? Because this whole baby thing where it's like, is it gonna have birth defects? If it's not gonna have birth defects, I felt like that was a drama that could have been played out a little bit longer. But for some odd reason, it's like, nope, they're gonna sit there and move to LA. So yeah, all that stuff is gonna be off screen. If like once they stop talking about it just seems like they just were gonna go with that, and then they just stopped. I mean, hell, I felt like they brought in Felicity. I felt like specifically for that story. And if you notice, we haven't seen Felicity. Yeah, they talked about her, but when was the last time that they saw her? I mean, we saw her. Yeah. Anyway, if I missed anything, write in the comment section below or come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows, Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, Young and Restless, and General Hospital, and I will see you in the next video.